It's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Sunday, August 8th to Saturday, August 14th. So let's look back before we start talking about what's ahead. This very first week of August has just flown by. Yes, we are an accelerated portal. We are building to the Lion's Gate. We are building towards the new moon. And many of us are feeling the time lapse. Yes, there are moments in our days, especially when the energy gets very, very heavy, when we're focused on purging and integrating, it seems like time stands still, like the day will never end. But here we are now looking back at the very first week of August, wondering where the hell did that go? Time is moving very rapidly and it's going very quick for a lot of reasons. Of course, this past week, we've been building towards the Lion's Gate portal, towards the new moon in Leo. We are still very much building in intensities, in energies to this very important, huge, monumental, back-to-back energetic event. So if you haven't listened to August Astro Tarot forecasts as of yet, I would definitely recommend you do so. Get a little bit of a lay of the land on what you can expect for this double feature event. We have a huge energy building and it's making for some very strange experiences, some very interesting ascension symptoms. And this week, we're going to feel very jaded. This week, we also have Mercury wrapping up its time in Leo and about to move into his place of power in Virgo. That is definitely going to be a totally different shift, especially concerning our mental planes. And this week, after we're downloaded with all of those light codes, we are going to have an opportunity to integrate. We are going to feel the division between the old and the new very, very intensely as we build towards the first quarter moon in Scorpio. So what does that mean for us this week? Well, it means that we still have a lot of ascension symptoms to push through. As I'm coming to you right now, if you're listening to this as I have released it on Friday, August 6th, we are still very much building towards the energy that is taking place on the 8-8 portal. We are still feeling the push and pull between the dark and light forces. And we are very much in a very weird state of being because the sun is in its place of power in Leo and the moon is in her place of power in Cancer. Now, this is likely bringing up a lot of flashbacks, a lot of review, a lot of reflection on what it is that we got illuminated to in Cancer season. And many of us were very happy to move out of Cancer season because it was heavy, it was emotional, it tested our boundaries, it broke our relationships down. Why? Because we had to recognize where it is that we've been giving too much of ourselves away and where it is that we have not been pouring into ourselves. There's a lot of attachments coming up for review. This is the darker forces saying, hey, we don't want you to move forward. Hey, we don't want you to elevate and evolve. And because of that, we're in a very dark place emotionally. Of course, we're building towards a new moon. That's what happens when we're in the dark phase of the moon is things get dark. There's no light in the sky to illuminate where it is that we need to follow our path. We're literally left in the darkness to face our shadow selves in order for us to realize what it is we do not want to experience anymore and what it is that we need to create in our mind's eye, in our heart space, as far as new intentions go. That is what we have to ground in. That is what we have to center in. That is what we have to root in, holding that vision, holding that dream, holding that high vibratory energy so that the dark forces are not going to win. They're not going to hold us down. They're not going to keep us in a state of paralysis. So the Lion's Gate portal, as we've been discussing, especially last week, as we get closer to this event on 8/8, we're going to be feeling the burn. Yes, we have to sit in the darkness. Yes, we have to be illuminated to the shadow part of ourselves so that we can unearth that darkness, let it rise to the surface, let our spiritual sun, Sirius, and the new moon in Leo burn those vibrations away. So we're still kind of feeling some ascension symptoms from last week, where that sunburn feeling is kind of being illuminated. We're all hot, warm, and tingly on the inside. We're kind of a little bit cooler on the skin surface, getting weird patches of goosebumps and temperature fluctuations. It's a very weird sensation. The dry eyes, the dry lips, the overwhelming thirst, all of that is going to continue as we peek into this energy and really get blasted with that serious sun energy. I want to talk about a couple of weird things though. Yes, I know that we have to be illuminated to the shadow part, but there's a lot going on in our chest, in our heart space. These are the heart activations, but it's super weird to go from pure sadness and grief and heartache to full fulfillment and warm and fuzzy feelings. And I don't know about y'all, but I've had some very weird experiences over this past week where I am riding high, I am feeling good, and then all of a sudden, 45 minutes later, an event, an external trigger, something, inside of me flashes me out of that high vibration, and suddenly I feel really sad. I feel really down. I feel very, very isolated. And then back up I go. So it's been quite a roller coaster in the heart space. And some of the physical symptoms that I'm personally feeling, and I know my clients are feeling as well, is like this tightness. I don't know if it's like a rib cage issue where it feels like, maybe a particular rib needs to like crack and give us a little bit of freedom here. I don't know if it's coming from in between the shoulder blades and having, those light codes really work through the discs in our spine, and that is where the tension is being held. But it's all in the area of the heart chakra, and of course, right under the rib cage where our solar plexus is. All of these energies are coming in, really putting a little bit of tightness on our chest area. It's making it, I'm not going to say difficult to breathe, but you definitely realize how much harder you're working to get that air into your lungs, to make it feel cozy. You're kind of aware of the tightness that is taking place, bringing that air in. Super strange. So with all of these energies, I've been noticing myself, of course, the dizziness, the spinning is unreal. It is literally like the world is in a snow globe and somebody picked us up and just shook us real good. And all of a sudden, it's like the world tilts. Everything's just off just that much more. I know we talked about that last week, but I find the closer that we're getting to some of these intense energy codes coming in, just spinning, spinning, spinning. I hope that we're able to, recognize that in those moments, it's up to us to ground. It's up to us to center. What does that mean? It means moving back into your body, connecting to the five senses. What can you see? What can you smell? What can you taste? What can you feel? Right? What can you hear? We have to connect to the physical senses and bring our energy back into the physical realm. Many of us are so focused on ascending that we haven't even mastered grounding and centering. And that's a very important practice in this spiritual work, in this energy work to master, because that is the only way that we can kind of come back down to earth when the fuzziness and the dizziness and the energy is just spinning us outside of our physical bodies and trying to really lift us off of this earth. So we talked about connecting to the five senses. Here's a weird one for you. Anyone else have this weird, strange film in their mouth? Like, everybody, when you wake up in the morning, everybody kind of has that weird film in their mouth. This isn't going away, my friends. It seems to be sticking around. I can't cleanse my palate with any kind of other flavor or taste or any kind of other sensation other than this weird ass funky film in my mouth. So I connected to my guides on this, and they're talking about phlegm, they're talking about mucus, they're talking about the purge. And a lot of this, I guess, is connected to having to cleanse ourselves, and especially connecting to the lungs. So my guides kind of indicated to me that, like I spoke about earlier, the tightness in the chest and really being aware of bringing that energy into your lungs. Well, there are some fragmented energies in your lungs attached to old ideas, old emotions, again, being activated by that heart chakra. And that is what is coming up. That is what is trying to escape our bodies, which is kind of interesting because they kind of show me that after this Lionsgate portal, our air will be different. What we're bringing into our body, the energy codes will be different. And a lot of the old sludge is coming up out of our organs, out of our bodies, in order to make way for this new purification that is happening to our light bodies and, of course, affecting our physical realms and physical bodies as well. So I find that to be very interesting. Now, the sinus pressure, the ear muffling, that is, I know it's something that is very common with the Ascension symptoms, but this one is kind of strange. I'm going to give you guys the best analogy that I can give you right now to see if you can connect to this. But you know, when you're driving in a vehicle and you're going, kind of fast and you have the windows down, and then all of a sudden you get in this weird air tunnel and it's like, whoomp, whoomp, whoomp. That's what I'm experiencing. And I know that a lot of people on this particular vibration, kind of ascending and ready to level up to the next level, they're having a lot of pressure in their head affecting their ears. So it's not just clicking, it's not just the ringing, it's not just the receiving downloads. Now it's kind of muffled, like we're hearing everything from a different room, like there's walls kind of blocking us from hearing things clearly. And that won't sound is kind of getting on my nerves. So I have to expect that it's getting on other people's nerves as well. But basically what I'm understanding is that we are in a wind tunnel. We are in a time warp. This is, very much connected to jumping up to the next level, but we're just not quite there yet. We're in this weird little, tunnel between the old and the new. And apparently the pressure coming in is affecting our ears. So we know in our physical body that our ears is what's responsible for us keeping balance. And as we've been discussing, we've been spacey, we've been dizzy, we've been just spinning. So there's a lot of equilibrium issues taking place as our physical bodies are trying to ground and root and center into this physical realm. But our energy bodies are like almost trying to elevate and levitate out of our physical bodies to just attach to those higher vibrations. The visual that I'm getting is that, the spiritual sun and our sun and all the energies that are aligning under this Lionsgate portal and the new moon in Leo, it's almost acting as a magnet for our energetic bodies, and it's sucking us into the cosmos. And there is a division. We have to work very hard to make sure that, our energy bodies don't leave our physical bodies. Of course, we would like to, because there's not a whole lot of fun going on in the physical realm, in the physical body right now. But it's very important that we recognize when we kind of start floating away and disassociating with the physical realm, that's when we need to ground, call back our energy, root it into our physical body. We can't separate the mind, body, and soul. We have to work very actively to keep it aligned and keep it together. So, a couple of things that we have to talk about as far as the physical body goes. There's going to be a lot of leg cramping coming up this week. This is something that we've been experiencing off and on, especially when we are put in a position to make some moves, to take a step forward. A lot of us have been having cold feet and a lot of fear trapped in our knees and a lot of tension trapped in our hips. And I feel like that is definitely going to come up for us again. We have Jupiter making some pretty important aspects this week. And of course, Jupiter kind of rules over our thighs, our upper legs. And Neptune is also a key player this week. And Neptune is really going to cause a lot of temperature fluctuations, especially in our lower extremities, and giving us cold feet, like physical cold feet. And if that isn't the greatest connection to, what's going on inside of us in our energetic realms, I don't know what is. Last week, we had this big caution about tripping over our feet because, of course, the distance and our spatial matter was off. And this week, they're talking about ankles. So ankles twisting or ankles cracking or ankles just not feeling in alignment to the rest of our body. It's almost like we have to continue, testing our range of motion and really stretching those ligaments in our legs and in our ankles. And I guess that's a warm up. They're telling me this is a warm up because this week is going to be about integrating, and then we're going to get the green light to go ahead and start taking action towards the end of the week as we kind of build toward the first quarter moon in Scorpio, mind you. So I want to talk about the fact that Mars is going to be a key factor here this week, and Mars is frustrated. He's highly irritable. He's a little bit on the angry side because, of course, he is kind of stunted in this Earth energy. He's not moving as fast as he would like. He has to only kind of pursue and take action when it is strategic and calculated. There's going to be some aspects coming up for us this week that's just going to frustrate the hell out of us. And this is going to cause an ascension symptom that, yes, could manifest as anger, as a temper tantrum, if you will. But basically, we're running hot on the inside. We might even, run into particular situations, especially when there are outside triggers that are going to literally make our blood boil. What I'm understanding is that the temperature rising in our blood is absolutely necessary for the purification stage that we're going to be going through in order to align these higher vibrational codes coming in on the Lionsgate portal and with the new moon. So they're asking us to kind of sit with our anger and our frustration. We want to watch out for clenching the jaw, clenching the fist, and gritting one's teeth. That is the physical manifestation of the energy blockages kind of just scrimping up inside of us. We're all clenched up. We're all frustrated. We want to make a move, but we can't. And so we kind of clench the body, and we're not realizing that, this is going to have a physical effect on our physical body. This is where the energy blockages need to be kind of acknowledged. In those moments, we need to say, oh, okay, I'm feeling pretty rigid. I'm feeling all stressed out and all kind of cramped up here. And again, that is a trigger for us to move inwards, to tap into our knowledge, our wisdom, our resources, and talk our body back into a state of calmness. We're going to need to practice that very diligently this week, especially when Mercury jumps out of Leo and moves into Virgo. Why? Because this is going to turn the volume all the way up on our thought process. We are going to be having rapid thoughts. It's going to be moving very quick. It's going to feel very chaotic. We're going to go from feeling very messy in our mental planes to banging our head against a wall, not able to push ourselves past a particular thought, idea, or block. And just when we think our heads are going to explode, bam, we get a little bit of a dose of clarity. The universe kind of gifts us with another piece of the puzzle that, snapping together, and we're starting to question, oh, is this what the big picture looks like? Oh, these pieces, when we put them together, look, there's a little bit of a visual coming together here. This is basically going to be a huge amount of information and reprocessing coming up in our mental planes. So I want to talk about dreams for a second. Now, I know dreams have been on the topics for many, many weeks, but this week, I feel like we're going to move into a stage of night terrors, which isn't going to feel so good. The reason being is because, again, we are moving out of an energetic vibration and frequency of the old, of fear, of insecurity, of vulnerabilities, and we're moving into the new. But there's a lot of things that we can't process when we're awake. Our conscious mind is just not able to really bring some certain things to light without having an inner activator, an inner trigger bring that forth for us. And what I'm understanding is that the night terrors are absolutely necessary for us to purge, cleanse, purify, and acknowledge some of the heavier trauma topics that we have really pushed down so far in us that I would hate to even call it repressed at this point. What I would like to call it is an opportunity for us to delete some things in us totally. Speaking of deleting things, have you all noticed that your memories are all messed up? Have you noticed that you're forgetting things? Have you noticed that there are complete blackouts when trying to recall certain topics, themes, and events in your past? This is happening in order to clear the emotional baggage out, the energetic baggage out of our systems. It does feel like we are losing our minds. Do not be fooled. That is absolutely what it feels like. And for the most part, we are losing our minds. We're losing our 3D egoic minds that are attached to the old paradigm, the old toxic cycles, the old fear, the old past patterns of pain and trauma. And so we do have a little bit of defragging to do in our mental planes because there is a huge amount of information being purged out of our subconscious self. And I'm going to describe something to you guys, and hopefully you know what I mean when I say this. But do you guys ever have it like where you're staring at the TV or your phone or whatever, and then suddenly you move away, but you can still see the image flash in your mind and overlay the scene in which you're currently now looking at? It's like that photo flash. And I feel like that is going to be a major experience happening not only at the peak of the Lionsgate portal and the new moon on 8/8, but I feel like these flashes are going to continue for the next couple of weeks. Now, these flashes are not even just memories from this realm. It feels like they're memories coming up from previous lifetimes. And it also feels like these are flashes that are being kind of like blazed into our mind's eye and our memories at this point of future events as well. And the way that I understand it is that we have to have these markers, these visual flashes emblazed in our mind's eye in order for us to recognize when we actually reach that level of manifestation in our physical realms, that it will be a validation point and a marker of, hey, I'm on the right track. Now, this is totally different than deja vu, which, is kind of the same deal. Those are just validation markers that we've been here before. This is where we're supposed to be. We've reached a certain, goal in this particular lifetime and in this particular game, if you will. But these flashes are different. It's almost as if we are retrieving, and I know this sounds weird, but retrieving memories from our future. And one would say, well, how is that possible? Well, seeing that you are 13 different avatars in 13 different dimensions, living out 13 different timelines, it is not that bizarre to think that your higher self or another version of yourself is sending you little blips and glimpses of things to come. And I feel like this is what these photo flashes are going to be for us. We do have a lot of root chakra activations happening this week. Again, lower back stiffness, hip stiffness, spasms in our spine. You might be called to be cracking your back. Why? Because that energy, one would want to call it Kundalini energy, but realistically, it doesn't need a label. Energy is energy. It's moving through our spine. Those 33 discs in our spine are divinely created and activated when they are for specific junctures in our ascension journey. And I feel like there's a lot of tension being built up because, of course, we are accepting new information and light codes in, which require us to spit a whole bunch of old out. And there's a lot of congestion happening in our spinal column, in our spinal fluid. I would encourage you to safely crack whatever needs to be cracked in your physical body, because that is going to release the emotional and energetic blockages that, of course, are being illuminated to us in stiffness, in rigidity, in tightness. So we talked about the whole lung thing, bringing air in, and I don't want to scare anybody here because I feel like the word that I'm about to use kind of brings a negative connotation, but grasping for air, gasping for air, I need to get out of here. I need to go outdoors, right? We're going to be put in a lot of situations this week that is going to take our breath away. Emotionally, shock and awe, tension, activating the throat chakra, speaking our truth. We might choke on our words. We might be grasping for air, saying, oh my goodness, I can't even breathe in here. I have to go outdoors and connect with Mother Earth in order to actually stabilize. And gasping for air, meaning that you're choking on your words, or just the air that you're trying to bring into your lungs just doesn't feel like it's fulfilling you the way that it should. And again, back to the earlier message about, this whole purification going on in our lungs, breath work, air is our life force. And the fact that we're going through a deep purge right now and getting that phlegm up and getting that film out of our mouth is highly suggestible that we might feel like we are lacking the kind of air and oxygen that we need. and we're already dizzy, we're already spacey. So, we can't really afford to lack any other oxygen other than what it is that we're currently dealing with. Now, in this purification process, what they've been telling me is after this back-to-back event on Sunday, on 8/8, we have to recognize that we're going to be a little bit more sensitive to light. We are going to be more sensitive to sounds. We are going to be more sensitive to energy, period. But they're also talking about paying attention to how food tastes, to how the sounds actually come in to our body, how we are perceiving light. Because they're talking about the fact that when we elevate to the next level, everything becomes elevated as well. And that is basically what we're going through right now, the 3D to 5D split. Everything is becoming more illuminated. Colors are more vibrant. Foods taste totally different. That's going to alter our cravings and what it is that our physical bodies want, need, and desire as well. And the overall light sensitivity, I think, is just because our cosmos is going to be lit up in a way that it hasn't been lit up in a very long time. And I feel like we're all just really going to be adapting to these new higher frequencies coming in, and might be very appropriate to wear some dark shades, even indoors, if you're feeling that sensitive to light. So we also have to talk about the fact that sweaty palms, nervousness, nausea, all of these quote unquote anxiety attack, panic attack traits are likely going to rear their ugly heads this week. Again, we're under a huge influence of energy. I feel like we can't avoid this because there's a lot of electricity coming into our realm from the electromagnetic frequencies of the cosmos, from the solar flares coming in, just from the abundance of light codes that are just penetrating our earthly realm at this time. And of course, that is going to peak our energetic bodies, peak the electricity running through our bodies, and really kind of just give us what we would call panic attack symptoms. The last thing that I want to talk about is this euphoric state that we have been experiencing, that we will continue to experience, because we've been shocked. We've been zapped with new details, new information, new perspectives, new light codes. Our physical bodies are literally vibrating at a totally different frequency. As a human collective, we've never been this far in the video game before. We've never been this far in the experiment. We have never been on Earth with the Earth vibrating at such a high frequency ever. This is why we're living in unprecedented times. In the history of all the experiments out in the galaxy, we, as the human collective, have never gotten this far. And so our physical bodies are doing things that, even myself with my guide's information, I can't really put into words until I experience it for myself. There's, as much as I'd like to be able to predict all of these things that are going to take place, we're seriously winging it at this point. So the shock, the euphoria, the feeling like we're in a dream, the feeling like we're in a haze, questioning how are we even here right now is going to continue, especially as we're still in the Lionsgate portal until after the second full moon in Aquarius. So we have a lot going on this week. I do really recommend that you download your moon guide if you haven't already. That's going to help you with some shadow work. It's going to help you to align your new intentions for manifesting. It's really going to just try to keep us in check with all of this crazy energy taking place this week. So I send you nothing but love. We're in this together. And again, may I remind you that none of this is pleasant. However, it is a good validation and a good marker that we're exactly where it is that we need to be right now. We need to come together as a like-minded community, as a human collective, going through this very, very interesting time in the growth and evolution, not only of humanity, but of Mother Earth as well. So we can do this. We got to put our warrior hats on. We got to put our big girl panties on. We got this. We just have to push through. It's important as we go through these heavier especially physical times, that we really tune into the strength of our mind's eye and we focus on all the good, we focus on all the love, we focus on all the positivity, even though we're not feeling so hot. So we're going to come together, we're going to reach out, we're going to let each other know that we're all in this together, that we're all experiencing these things, and that most importantly, not one of us is alone in this process.